So in addition to a cylinder, you can make a cup shape that has a tapered bottom and a wider top or wider mouth. And I've suggested that you keep some kind of paper to-go cup, a hot cup, and then cut it open at the seam. And you can even change the size of it if you would like. You can make it shorter, or you can leave it tall. So I used this template, and again, I rolled out my slab of clay, and it's leather hard, and I've already started to form it, and I'm ready to seal it, put the seam together. So I'm not gonna straighten it back out, it'll probably crack. But remember that you can try a cup. You can also leave a cup with a handle, without a handle, but it is just another option for a shape. So I'm going to go through and take my serrated rib and go through and scratch that. Again, you can scratch with a needle tool or a plastic fork or a regular fork. And then I'm gonna create a little slip, which is that muddy, wet clay. And this piece is actually getting pretty hard, and I did not put texture on. I think it's a little late to put texture on it at this point. But I'm going to show you a way that you can attach a seam also and make a really nice, clean seam. So this is going together pretty well. I'm gonna go on the inside and take that clay back and forth. So what I'm gonna do is show you, I'm just gonna scrape a little bit. I have, these are silicone ribs. They're called from a company called Mud Tools. And you have your metal rib that was in your kit. Be careful, it'll take a lot off if you're not too careful. And then you also have a wood rib. All right, so I'm gonna put the bottom on, and I did already score the circle. And I'm gonna score this. Just a word about all of these little pills or crumbs that happen. It's good to keep cleaning off your workspace and moving them aside, because they will get stuck onto the clay, and then when it is fired, they'll become sharp. And you don't want to have to do too much sanding if you don't have to. So you want to get rid of all the little, some of the messy things ahead of time. So this bottom looks a little big, and I'll show you how you can work with it if it's a little bigger. So again, I'm going to take my wood spoon from the kitchen. You can go around the edge of your circle, and you can use your paddle on about a 45-degree angle and create that little wraparound bottom to a cup or a mug. So if you like the look of it and you think it might be fun to glaze up to that point, it will be a good separation, good visual separation. And you can actually leave it there. It can be very decorative, and you could just smooth it out and get rid of any, any scoring marks that might be there. You can always take your sponge or a rib and go around and smooth that too. Okay, so there's the cup. There are a variety of different handles that you can make to fit any mug or cup. And really what you want to think about is how many fingers do you want to put in that handle? 1, 2, or 3. And do you want to have a place maybe to rest your thumb? Or, do you want the handle to be high on the cup, low on the cup? And how is it going to work with the weight of that mug or cup? So there's a lot of things that you have to think about. And here is a picture of some different shapes and how they attach. And you can have a fixed handle where you don't see the seam, or you can have it flare out, and you can see that there are places where you can make the handle part of the decoration, or it can just be functional. So the 3 types that I'm going to show you today are a coil, a slab, and then how to roll a handle using a paintbrush. So the first thing I'm going to do is show you how to take a very simple template. This is almost a triangle with the end cut off, and I'm going to trace this and then I'm going to use this actually with a paintbrush. So here's one that we're going to make by rolling with a paintbrush. So you want a kind of a fat paintbrush and a long one, and it's going to, the tapered end, the smaller end goes down near the narrower part. And then you can just kind of start to roll the paintbrush along the particles so that it will get kind of a bend to it. So you're almost wrapping it up. And then I'm going to get to the point where I can get the seams to close up. And if you want to make a smaller one, you can use a narrower paintbrush too. So what I'm doing is almost just like rolling a hollow handle around a cylindrical form. And you don't have to use a paintbrush. You can still do this without one. And then I have this hollow piece, and I'm going to take a rib and make sure that I've closed in that seam pretty well. And this is pretty wet clay, so it's staying together really well. So I've closed it up, and don't worry about the ends so much because the ends are going to be cut off. So now I have a nice round hollow, it looks like a pipe. So then what we're gonna do is we're just gonna bend this, and it's gonna be a really nice cylindrical form. Now, you're gonna look at your mug. So maybe I wanna put this on my biggest mug, and I'm gonna say, how big do I really want this? Well, I'm gonna cut off both ends, and I'm also gonna make sure that I'm cutting these at a bevel or at an angle so that the end is going to fit really nicely on the handle, or the handle is going to fit right on the mug. And then I'm going to, I think I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cut it like that so that you can start to see how this is going to work. And that probably is too much. All right, and then you can just really start to think about what shape you want and where you're gonna attach it. I think I need a little more bend. And I think it looks like I can fit 2 fingers in this. All right, so then you decide what shape you want. If you want it to be more of a kind of a J shape, upside down J, or a C. And remember, there will be shrinkage. So if it's not quite big enough make another one, or if it's too big, you can make it a little smaller, but it will get smaller. So then what you're gonna do is figure out where you want this on the mug. And then you're going to take your needle tool and draw around the attachments, and you're going to score inside that area on both pieces. Get a little bit of water, and then you're going to attach them. And make sure that you can use a little coil to wrap around this so that the handle will really stay attached well. So you can always take a small coil and go around there also and work that in. So I'm not going to attach this right now because the mug is leather hard and this is too wet. So I would just maybe let this sit and dry a little bit before I attached it. And I'm gonna work it a little more, let it get leather hard. And I may put even a thumbprint in here, which is nice. It helps to hold it. You can put a design on your mug, on your handle if you'd like. The other thing you need to remember is because this is a hollow piece, when before you're ready to fire it, you're gonna just poke a hole in it, at least one hole, so that the air can escape. So don't forget to do that. So that's one handle, and I'm gonna let that dry. So I still have this piece of slab, and I'm going to use my ruler, and I'm just going to make a very thin slab. Maybe about like that. And you can measure and be precise if you'd like. I'm gonna go with that. And again, I have this piece of slab and I can create any kind of handle I want. So obviously don't need it this long. So I'm gonna show you how to make two different handles with this piece. I'm gonna just take my sponge or my finger and smooth the edges so that they will not be sharp when I attach it. Because again, your hands are gonna be touching this. So those cut edges will be sharp. So what I'll do is decide how I want this to be. Maybe I do want to attach these and have them be maybe decorative and add a little flair to them. You know, I may want to have a certain shape. You may want to tuck them under. You could do that. So you really can do anything you'd like. With a slab is a really easy way to make a handle. So maybe I'm gonna tuck it under and I'm gonna let that sit and firm up a little bit. And then I think I'm going to use this later. So I'm just gonna make sure that it's straight and it's how I want it to be. And then I'm gonna let it become leather hard and then attach it. Okay, again, scoring and slipping. So there's another handle. And then this one, maybe I just want to let it sit and firm up a little bit. Again, make sure that you can fit your fingers in it. And I'm going to let it sit like this to let it dry. Here are two examples of coil handles that have been fired already. I just keep them for showing what they look like. And it's good when you make a coil to actually make the attachment ends a little thicker. So that gives you more to attach to your mug. So the way that you make a coil is you take a ball of clay and you keep rolling it out. And as you roll it out, you separate your fingers and you are stretching out the clay. You want to make sure that you don't make it too flat. And then you can just decide where you want to cut it, how big you want it. And again, it's good to have the ends be a little thicker and a little sturdier. You can always make them bigger. And a coil handle is really the simplest and the easiest. And you can make it as big as you want or a very small handle. You can also make it just for one finger. So there's another handle. And again, you can make all sorts of shapes. So I can let this handle firm up, make the ends bigger. And there's another handle. So you can see they're not very hard. We've got some coils, a slab, another slab, and then the hollow form. This is a bigger, thicker one. And there you go. There's a couple samples. And just make sure that the handles are really firm so that they do not sink down when they're wet and they're attached. They'll start falling down. You want to make sure they're really holding their shape before you attach them.